Okay, so Jeff Stoutland is leaving the Eagles, and now we know a little bit more why and whose fault it is. Meanwhile, the Eagles' new offensive coordinator gets another one of his guys to join the staff as the run game coordinator and tight end coach. So much to break down, including how the departure of Jeff Stoutland can affect Lane Johnson, plus the draft process and scouting. But there is a glimmer of hope and some good news that we got confirmation on. What is going on, everybody? I go by Philly Mike, and it's the Philly Talk Podcast. If you still rock with our Eagles, do me a favor, hit that like, subscribe to the channel, and turn on that notification bell so you don't miss the videos. But before anything, I gotta say thank you, Coach Stoutland. So let's just start right there. Jeff Stoutland officially leaving the Philadelphia Eagles. This came out 37 minutes after I uploaded yesterday's video. And in that video, I talked about the coach and staff changes that are going to happen, that need to happen, and the one that can't happen. And it was Jeff Stoutland leaving the Eagles. However, it happened. And we got to break it all down because Tim McManus wrote some interesting things in his article that we break down. And we do already low key got his replacement. But let's start with what Stoutland said to the people. Philadelphia, I've decided my time coaching with the Eagles have come to an end. When I arrived here in 2013, I did not know what I was signing up for. I quickly learned what the city demands, but more importantly, what it gives back. The past 13 years have been the great privilege of my coaching career. I didn't just work here, I became one of you. Stout out. Bro, the University of Stoutland is no longer accepting candidates. I need a minute. All right, let's focus on what he even said in that goodbye post. Nothing about thanking the Eagles organization and blah, 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 blah. It was all about us, the city of Philadelphia, which I didn't even realize until after reading Tim McManus's report. Things were less harmonious this past season. Injuries to right tackle Lane Johnson and others along the front played a part in the grounds game regression, but there were other dynamics at play. With the offense stagnant, head coach Nick Sirianni took on a more active role over the latter part of the season. He and then offensive coordinator Kevin Patullo began incorporating different run designs in an effort to kickstart the operation. Stoutland was not consulted about the changes to what he felt was in an appropriate degree, a league source said, to the point where he no longer desired the title of run game coordinator because he felt it no longer fit his job description. I get it. Nick Sirianni's the head coach. If something needs fixing, it's his job to fix it. But you would think, as a CEO coach, a guy who preaches togetherness and all that mushy stuff that has worked throughout his tenure, why not consult, ask, talk with, work with? It seemed like you were trying to make changes that Jeff Stoutland either didn't know about and or wasn't sure of. At the end of the day, that is what started it because this is what Tim McManus wrote next. That experience gave him pause about continuing on with the organization, the source added. Another wrinkle emerged with hiring of the 33-year-old Sean Mannion as offensive coordinator last week. Mannion is slated to install a new scheme that will pull from the Sean McVay and Kyle Shanahan systems. Given that Stoutland doesn't have history with that offense, he would have needed someone to bring him up to speed on the new system, a source noted. Speaking with ESPN last week, Stoutland's agent, Alan Herman, had indicated that Stoutland was frustrated with how the season transpired, with his voice not being heard within the organization, and said there was a chance that he could move on. However, Herman had emphasized Stoutland was not planning to retire from football. I'm just trying to follow the tea leaves, and I'm still confused because there's more to the puzzle. EJ Smith said, from his understanding, the Eagles wanted to retain Jeff Stoutland and that it was his decision to step away. There's a chance he will stay around with the team in some capacity, although there's still some unknowns on what's next for him. Let me know what you think in the comment section, but I'll tell you why I'm confused by this. First, we heard about the frustration from Jeff Stoutland to Nick Sirianni and Kevin Patullo when they started changing things up and really wasn't consulting him, which low key was like demoting him. If that's the case, why would you come back to an organization in some capacity that you're frustrated with? Scratching my head on that. The other reason was the new offensive coordinator, new scheme. You're not trying to learn it, or you would have to learn it. And maybe you're afraid that your voice will still be not as loud with the new OC and him getting his guys. And after being the offensive line coach and run game coordinator, you're not trying to go back to just O line coach, blah, 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 blah. But then his agent said that he didn't want to leave football. And by leaving the Eagles, he's leaving football unless he goes to another team where he most likely will have to learn a new scheme unless he gets that same title he had in Philadelphia. Lastly, the goodbye post on Twitter X, wherever you want to call it. He didn't say bye to the Eagles, Jeff Flory, Harry Roseman. He said bye to Philadelphia. So again, I ask you, what do you think? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section. If I had to really guess, I do think it's some about the new OC, new scheme, but I do think some of it stems back to last year. The fact that Nick Sirianni low key picked Kevin Patullo over Jeff Stoutland. They low key demoted Jeff Stoutland over demoting and or firing Kevin Patullo. Let that sink in. Now, before we go any further, I want to give a huge shout out to today's sponsor, Fanatics Live. Sports cards has never been so big as it is today, and it's easier than ever to start with this new app called Fanatics Live. It is a 24/7 live streaming community where you're buying and ripping packs together with on screen comments talking about the action. But my favorite way to play has to be instant rips. Each pack has either a professionally graded or authenticated card inside. Also, you see the floor and the ceiling value of the pack before you buy. So let's go ahead and pull up the app. And right there, I'm going to take the $75 football pack. And here we go. It gets us to our host to do our instant rip. You can see my name, Philly Mike 25, come up, and he's going to open the pack via the instant rip right here live. And we got a 2023 Panini Prison Red Wave Anthony Richardson rookie PSA 9 mint. Once that's done, you can hit the collect tab to see the card and make a final decision. Either to sell it on Fanatics Collect to get up to 90% market value and keep ripping, or hit retrieve and it's sent directly to your home. Now, if you're wondering, is it just football cards? Absolutely not. They got MLB, NBA, and even Pokemon cards. This is just a football channel, and I like football cards. So, if you want to start your collection for absolutely free, new users get a free instant rip pack with a graded or authentic card by just joining your first live stream. Yes, it's that simple. A free instant rip pack. Click the link in the description, download the app, join your first live stream, and you get one for free. Back to the Eagles. And let's talk about Lane Johnson, who there's already been speculation that he will retire due to that Liz Frank. All he knows is Jeff Stoutland. And if we say Stoutland don't want to learn a new scheme, why would an offensive lineman who was coached under him for over a decade want to learn a new scheme, new blocking techniques? Maybe Lane Johnson says, hey, I might as well retire too. Liz Frank hurts and Jeff Stoutland's gone. That could be a factor, especially when you go back last year and think about now, when was Stoutland stripped of the run game coordinator thing? Probably around the time when Lane Johnson was supposed to be back. And it kept getting pushback, pushback, pushback so much that he missed a playoff game. This ain't a regular player. This is paved to Lane Johnson. He normally mans up and plays, especially in the playoffs. Could he have held out because the injury was bad, but he was upset about the demotion? I don't know. It's all speculation. But at the end of the day, if you were worried about Lane possibly not coming back, this don't make it easier for an old guy with a Liz Frank to say, let me give it one more go. Last thing I'm going to say about Stoutland leaving the Eagles before we change subject is that his scouting during the draft. How many times did the Eagles draft the offensive lineman who was just raw talented and said, hey, Stout, do what you got to do? Or discovered a guy because Stoutland was doing the draft process. That is going to be missed too. You no longer can take a young, talented, raw guy and turn him into something. And we're going to need to make sure we got guys in here who can scout offensive linemen. Development, scouting, that is a big trait that Jeff Stoutland did better than anybody as well. Absolutely great at that job. Run game coordinating great. Offensive line coaching is great, but scouting and developing is something we're gonna miss too. I understand everybody eventually got to move on. We want new ideas. Well, we're gonna get them, and I wanted new ideas around the board, but I didn't want to lose him. But you can't cry over spilt milk. But I'm gonna cry for a little bit. Switching gears to the newest member of the Eagles coaching staff, Tom Pelissero said the Eagles are hiring Ryan Maffey as run game coordinator and tight end coach. Sources tell the insiders. Mahaffey was most recently the Packers receiver coach, a big promotion for an ascending assistant. Now, the first thing you're probably thinking is, what does a wide receiver coach know about being a run game coordinator? Well, he was a wide receiver coach in Green Bay, but he played fullback in the league, also coached tight ends and offensive lines throughout his coaching tenure. And again, he was doing great things with the Packers wide receivers who we've seen develop each year. No big name guy over there, just guys who got better and better and better. And hey, maybe he brings Romeo Dobbs in to fill the Jahan Dotson spot. I'm just saying. Another good thing is because he played fullback, he knows how to block, and maybe he can get the tight ends to block better. I'm talking Grant Calcaterra if he's still on the roster, and even Dallas Goddard, who had a down year blocking from what he's done in the past. Mind you, this is a tight end slash run game coordinator, so he'll be involved in the run game. He definitely knows Sean Mannion, who was over there at quarterback coach, right? Quarterback coach from the Packers, wide receiver coach from the Packers, knows what the system they kind of want to run for the run game. So we're giving Mania the keys, as we said, to really build this thing up. If we are wrong, then it goes past Nick Sirianni to Howie and Laurie. But if Mannion hits, then maybe we forget all about this. If we're doing a lot of nice outside zone running, this, that, and the third, play action, boot, under center, runs like crazy. So he's getting the guys that fit his system. And with him also being a tight end coach, that could mean longtime coach Jason Michael could be out as he was our tight end coach. And he's real close to Dallas Goddard, who is set to be an unrestricted free agent this offseason. As for Jason Michael, he came in with Nick Sirianni, and now Sean Mannion gets his guy instead of Nick's, which means we still need a offensive line coach, but his responsibilities will be solely to worry about the O line, not the run game, just the offensive line. But with it being February 5th, I don't know how many gurus out there, if there is any. Maybe there's a guy from the Rams that we consider. We'll talk about him more in a future video. But there is one thing that we gotta be happy about to end this video. Jeff McClain clarified it after the bad news yesterday. More Eagles news. Vic Fangio will remain defensive coordinator moving forward, per NFL sources. After complaint and retirement, the 67-year-old will return for his third season at the helm of the Eagles defense. Honestly, when I saw more Eagles news and then I saw Fangio's name and picture, I said, no, you can't do this to us. Not Stoutland and Fangio in the same day. Why, football gods? Why? And then I slowed down and realized it said Fangio's coming back. So I said, whoo, thank the Lord. Because we kind of knew that, but the way yesterday was going, I don't even know. With all that being said, I go by Philly Mike. This is the Philly Talk Podcast. Leave your thoughts in the comment section. I need to know about how you feel. We need to know how all of us feel. Also, do me a favor, click the link in the description. Go sign up to Fanatics Live. Get your free instant rip by using the link below. Make sure you go into an instant rip your first live and see what you can get. Like I said, a lot more to break down for these Eagles every single day. And when we get into the real part of the offseason, it still should be fun. But once again, coached out, I'm going to miss you, bro. And hopefully the Eagles build something special. Until next time, you know what time it is. We out.